Whenever I raise a baby mink, I like to take them everywhere I can. This gets them used to new sounds, sights, and smells, as well as bonds the mink to me.
What is that? It's a mink. That's a mink?
Yep.
You're going to raise a mink?
Yep. As you would probably expect, Rio draws quite a bit of attention as we're out and about. Sometimes it's kind of fun to talk to people about her, and sometimes it's just annoying and I wish they'd let me go about my business. On this day, I take Rio with me to Home Depot, where we're looking for some supplies to build a new cage. In one of my future videos, I'll show you the new cage design I've come up with. I think it'll be quite useful for people who are wanting to keep their mink indoors rather than outside.
Well, here's plastic coated actual wire.
Do you like that?
You biting it? What do you think? She's like, yeah, this'll work. Let me test it to see if it's mink proof.
As I looked at different items in the store, I also allowed Rio to investigate them too. Allowing Rio to touch and smell new things helps to stimulate her brain. This extra stimulation in turn helps her brain to develop. You do have to be careful that she doesn't get a little too stimulated and start ingesting that plastic though. I also gave Rio the opportunity to walk around the store for a little bit. This not only gave Rio a little bit of exercise, but also helped her to become confident in new places, not just in my arms, but also on the ground walking around. This is pretty important for me because you never know where I might take my mink hunting. It could be in some type of warehouse where they have rats, and so I need her to be confident in new places. When someone I don't know wants to touch one of my mink, I will often allow them to do so. However, I always make sure to hold the mink by the head and only let the person touch them on the back. One unexpected thing about mink is how affectionate they can be. Mink raised from a young age will often continue to lick and groom you like this, even into adulthood. Even more important than taking Rio to visit new places is our daily walk.
Come on, Rio.
You may notice the little chirping noises Rio often makes as she walks along. When Rio knows I'm close by, her chirps are typically quiet and content. In the wild, these little chirps are simply a contact sound that a baby mink makes so that its mother knows that it's still close by. When the young mink starts to feel a little lost, the chirps become louder and more frantic to help the mother locate her lost kit.
Rio, come on. Here.
Our daily walks are important because it helps Rio's body to develop properly. All the exercise she gets helps to build her bones and muscles and cardiovascular system, as well as stimulates her mind. This is little Rio's first introduction to open water. Previous to this, she'd only seen water in a very small dish. Young mink are naturally cautious about water. Though intrigued and curious, they have a natural fear that tells them they need to be careful. This protects the baby mink from entering the water when too young and possibly getting chilled or even drowning. It may sound strange for a semi-aquatic animal like a mink to be cautious about water, but if you think about it, it makes perfect sense. In the wild, mink commonly den in muskrat burrows. Muskrat burrows open up right into the water, and so a young mink could easily find itself face to face with water before it even leaves its den. If the young mink wasn't naturally cautious, he could easily drown before he's old enough to really take on swimming. Just like a human baby, little Rio wants to put everything in her mouth. We can see her pulling on blades of grass, picking up small stones in her mouth, or often feeling around at the bottom of the puddle and pulling up strange objects. Rio found a small clump of roots at the bottom of the puddle and decides to see if it's edible. Sure enough, she realizes it's not and leaves it to find something else more interesting to play with. As soon as we get home from our little walk, it's Rio's breakfast time. Now we've progressed to the point where I give Rio the food call when I'm out of sight. That way, she has to learn to follow her ears to find me. As soon as Rio is responding well to finding me in the house whenever I call, regardless of where I hide, the next step is to start giving the food call while outside.
Hey, gentle. Gentle, good girl. Gentle. Yeah. Hey. Hey. Let's do some sit-ups, huh?
After her fun little outdoor adventure of playing in the puddles and walking through the fields, Rio also comes with me to the office.
Hey, both hands on the way. Oh, I guess we're stopping. Rush hour. Dang it.
You know I'm gonna get comments on that on the video.
Come on. Rio, come on. Come on. Come on. Rio, come on.
Closet.
Rio, come on. Rio, come on. Bringing Rio to the office like this is only practical when she's too small to run around. As her development continues, Rio's energy levels will steadily climb higher and higher until she's literally bouncing off the walls. Only at this stage in her development, when she's young enough to sit still, is it practical for me to bring Rio to the office. So I love to take the opportunity while they're still young to bring them with me. Unfortunately, I won't be able to do this for long. Even at this young age, Rio's activity and curiosity becomes more and more of a burden. Finally, Rio wears herself out and falls asleep right in the middle of my computer.